All right, welcome everybody for another episode of Tilting the Scales. I'm Nathan Logan. I'm here with my co-host, Chester Bowen and Walter Hall, coming to you from New Hampshire, the great state of New Hampshire. I'm in the Lone Star Studio in Texas, which will hopefully very soon be moving to the College Station Bryan area, where Texas A&M is located. How have you guys been? How's your week been, Walter?
It's been a long week. I'm happy to be on with you guys. Have a little downtime, some time with the boys. It's been a long week otherwise. Weather's terrible up here. It's cold and rainy, super cold. There's places in the mountain that it's gonna snow in the next couple of days.
Wow.
Like it's cold. It's unseasonably cold and miserable. And it's just been a miserable week. So that's why I'm happy to be on. It's a long weekend. I'm happy for that. Heading up to Maine, it's going to be miserable, but the it'll be nice to be up there. It'll be nice to have a long weekend away with the family. So I'm excited for that.
Nice,
How
good.
you doing?
When are you leaving? When are you leaving for Maine?
Probably
Tomorrow
Saturday.
sometime?
Saturday morning.
So
We were thinking about Friday after work, but I'm like, there's no installation, no heat. It's going to be really cold. I'll sleep in my own bed tomorrow night, and then we'll drive up first thing in the morning.
nice, good.
Yep.
What about you, Chet? How's your week been?
Very, very long, good and bad. Some good things I negotiated at least for our company that was I think very solid, so that helped out. Um, Tough. We're not getting into politics yet, but I genuinely watch as I see Medicaid being cut on the table, and I feel that anxiety for the people that we serve. So watching that and hearing my employees worry about that was a little bit tough, but we tried to manage through that. And
Mm-hmm.
family wise, I have never been to a colder baseball practice than I did on Tuesday, only to be followed up by I've never been to a colder baseball game than I went to on Wednesday. And then tomorrow night, if it does not get canceled, I'm going to go to a Manchester Fisher Cats game with the boys' night out for the elementary school, where it looks like it's going to be legit 32 degrees uh, outside, and that's going to be tough.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
miserable.
yeah.
That
That's
sounds
some
horrible.
That's going to be
that's some
awful. Yep.
yeah, that's some crazy weather, man. It's
Yeah.
been here it's been a good week here. It's been in the 90s consistently
Nice.
every day, so and sunny,
Nice.
so a little bit humid, but it's weather that I really appreciate. I appreciate being warm, so I'm glad that I'm
I
not
think
up
I'd
there.
rather have it 45 and rainy than 90 degrees and humid. That is like my absolute hell. That is when I'm at my least comfortable.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not, it's uncomfortable staying outside in it. Like, so
Yeah.
I'm not outside very often, very much. Like, I was outside fixing my fence today, in the late afternoon. I was sweating my sack off, but I mean, it is what it is. But the majority of the day I'm inside and air conditioned. It's kind of the same thing when it's cold there. You guys jump inside where it's warm, you either
Oh
go
yeah.
from a warm car to a warm building, and some people stay outside, but really it's kind of unbearable to stay out in the elements longer than you're comfortable doing. So, but
So we're all
yeah,
moving to North Carolina.
I mean,
Happy
it'll be
medium.
unbearably warm for you guys there too. I'm comfortable with it. I mean, I'm fine. You just put me near a body of water where, I can jump in and cool off for a minute or have a cold drink in my hand. I mean, I'm good.
There you go.
But yeah, I'd rather be sweating. So yeah, long weekend coming up. It's a Memorial Day weekend for myself. We do our CrossFit gym does every Memorial Day we do what's called the Murph. It's a workout in honor of Michael Murphy, who was part of the the lone survivor being book. He was a Navy SEAL. Anyway, it's a workout that we do on Memorial. It's one of the more grueling ones. It's you run a mile, then you do 100 pull-ups, then 200 push-ups, then 300 air squats. Then you run another mile. And
Oh,
oh, by the way, it's all done with a vest, an 18-pound vest on. So you do pull-ups with the vest on, you do the push-ups with the vest on, you do the air squats, and then the mile run. So you end up running 2 miles, doing a whole bunch of stuff. So I'll be doing that Monday, and then sitting in a pool, soaking somewhere, recovering after
yeah.
that. So,
After that, yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, that'll be my weekend. But let's jump right into it, fellas. Let's talk about the Celtics. We did a watch party for Game 6 after the Jason Tatum injury. Obviously we were hoping to have a better showing for sure. Didn't pan out that way. We won Game 5, right? Won Game 5 without Tatum. Am I right? Am I
You're right.
Yeah,
misremembering? But we
you're
won.
correct. He got hurt in game 4. Yep.
Yeah, we won Game 5 uh, at home, playing pretty good. I thought that we responded obviously to the Tatum injury as a team. We needed some people to step up. The others needed to do well, which is what happened in Game 5. And then Game 6, it was just a stinker all around for a multitude of reasons. But before I say my opinion, I'd like to hear how you guys felt about the performance. So we'll start with Chet. Why don't you give us your synopsis?
I'm the most sort of outside fan of the three of us, and
But
just
you're a
looking at
fan
it,
now. Like you're
I'm a
you're
huge I'm a huge
100%
fan.
in.
I
10
watch
toes in,
it,
standing on business.
love it. But we saw Cornette jump out the week before. We saw different players step up, and I in the back of my mind, and I never said it. I was like, is there a chance all those guys can step up again? I don't know them. I don't know everything about them, but I was like, is there a chance that we can get that good again next week? And part of me was a little worried, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be a homer, a fanboy, as Nate says, and I'm like, we're going. This is gonna happen. But I could tell within the first quarter, within the first 2 quarters, like we just didn't have it that day. They came out to play, and it was just rough. It was just a rough watch from my perspective. Like I don't know all the details of it. I just from seeing it from my perspective, it was like we just couldn't. It felt like we couldn't compete that day, and it was really disappointing.
Yeah. Go ahead, Wally. How did you feel?
Yeah, I was demoralized. I was defeated. Like you knew from almost the jump where they were just weren't like I was optimistic and I knew we could come back, but we never really had that spark defensively or offensively. Um, as far as game 5 is concerned. But the bigger issue was game 1 and 2. We gave them away. We should have won both of those games. We were up big late. We pissed it away. Game 4 as well. Like there's no excuses. You can't give away playoff games. You can't not close the door. That game we should have closed the door in games 1 and 2, and this wouldn't even have been an issue.
Yeah.
The bigger issue is kind of, and I know this is probably our next topic, is what this means for next year. But as far as the performance in the playoffs, like Jaylen Brown came out and did what he could. We just never shot the ball at our capability at any point, really in the playoffs. And when you are a team that lives and but dies by the three and you go cold, like you go cold, there's not, what do you do? Like that was such an integral part of the season. I mean, we were a record breaking 3-point shooting team that just stopped being able to shoot threes. Obviously, Kristaps being injured or ill played a huge role in that. I think even like Hauser, like it's a small thing, but he never really clicked in this playoffs. So it limited our ability to pull him off the bench. Big Al played his usual big minutes. I thought Derek White played it lights out. He was big for us intermittently, which is what you need for him. Peyton Pritchard was hot and cold. But as far as the team, like it was sad. It was really sad. I don't think Missoula did a great job coaching, if I'm being 100% transparent. This is my not fanboy. Like, I feel like there were key parts in in multiple games where I thought a timeout was necessary, or I thought, sorry, there's some weird noise going on over there.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you about the coaching perspective. I thought, well, to backtrack just a little bit, we did not play a decent game or a well-rounded game throughout the entirety of the playoffs, to include the series against Orlando. We had shades. Probably against Orlando, we put 3 good quarters together in one of the games.
Yeah,
But
game 4 in the Nets was probably the closest. But yeah.
Yeah, and we were still struggling. I did feel like it was definitely a Joe Mazzulla coaching strategy and enforcement kind of thing. I didn't see him again. Probably one of the biggest factors, and I won't say this is why the Celtics aren't in a position to repeat, but the physicality of the playoffs this year, like you can't that can't go unvisited as far as a conversation. Like that definitely affected the way that the Celtics played. Whether it was because of the physicality, they were frustrated mentally and also physically. So you don't have any legs. You shoot 20% in the first two games from 3-point range. When again they have the talent and they continuously show that they could beat every 1-on-1 with our five starters. We could beat anybody off the dribble, and we were doing that, and then we were stepping back and shooting 3-pointers. And I just thought we should have embraced the physicality aspect of it and like just continue to drove to the hole and take open 3-pointers when you get them. But again, we continued to hunt the 3-point shot even when we were shooting 20%. Like we've got to figure out a way to find a happy medium, especially in the flow of the game. Like I'm all about getting your shot off, but I feel like again the coach didn't enforce the adjustment, right? The coach he might have preached it, but he didn't enforce the adjustment. So and then again, even after we lost our star player, I feel like the Celtics were they lacked motivation. They didn't have somebody like a coach to say, give them the rah-rah speech and make an adjustment that was pivotal in the turning point of the game. And that's part of the reason why we failed. I mean, anyway, but the question is definitely what happens in the off season. We have a huge amount. I think something that's pretty telling is like Sam Hauser. He makes 10 million, but if we trade him away, it actually creates. It looks like 80 million because he's literally like a $70 million charge in the luxury tax. So if we traded him, it's a $10 million salary, but we end up losing again or taking off literally 70 million in the luxury tax. So there's a lot of decisions that need to be made. And I don't know if you've looked at you've seen all the activity on X, Walter, about like all the trade machines, like doing a whole bunch
I hate
of
them
stuff.
all. I hate them all.
I
They
hate them all,
suck.
but I will tell you, I saw one today that was Jaylen Brown to the Spurs for the first pick, or sorry, the second
The
pick,
second pick.
and like 3 role players. I'm like, if the Celtics are offered that, they need to jump on that. Same with, I saw a whole bunch of them that are like Derek White for like a first round and a second round pick, and like I think Jonathan Kuminga and 2 other players from Golden State, and I'm like, if you can get that for Derek White, like you should definitely do that.
The thing about NBA trade talk is I've come to conclude it's about 98% just made up. Like some dude thinks, hey, you know what trade I like to see? I want this guy for this guy. Now they have nothing to do with the teams, and it's not based in reality. So it's almost like talking about the tooth fairy. Like it's fantasy land, banana land for most of it. Having said that, they do have to make some big trades, and it's going to get ugly. And we're going to have to trade away good players and get back lesser players strictly from a salary perspective. So the team we saw this year will almost certainly not be back in its current form next year. And I wouldn't be shocked if they did some form of complete retool or close to it with Tatum out. Not complete retool, but drastic retool.
Yeah.
Tim, it looks beautiful where you are right now, my friend.
Yeah.
That is gorgeous.
Beautiful. Oh, pastoral backyard. Chickens back there. Sunset. Oh, yeah, it's beautiful out here. Perfect weather.
We were just saying it's 45 and raining right now. It is absolutely miserable. Like the worst weather.
Yeah, so welcome, Tim, friend of the show. Definitely got a cold drink in your hand, sitting in your backyard.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on with you guys. It's been a crazy couple of months.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, tell us about it.
Well, my father-in-law passed away. I don't know if I was on, but on since we mentioned that, but Wyatt graduated, and busy. May is like, I don't know how old your kids are, but we got people graduating, and there's all kinds of graduation parties and stuff like that. So, yep.
Well,
That's-
congratulations to graduation.
Exactly.
And,
Congratulations.
Yeah, man. It's that was hard fought. It was a hard fought graduation. No week in the 12 years of that kid's education was easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's done though. And they can't take it away.
It's done. He wasn't as erudite as students like ourselves when we were in high school. You're right.
So
No,
he's on to Hawaii, right? For his
Well, he applied to the internship and he has yet to hear back. I told you it's at a church and there's different positions, and the one that they hired him or were offering to him was the communications and social media, and we haven't allowed social media in our house, so he's got a little bit of a deficit. But thankfully, my brother-in-law was in town, so the guy said, "I'll give you a week. I want you to come up like a mock-up of like a sermon series. What would the graphic look like? A poster you hang on the wall or whatever." And my brother-in-law, he does he's like the social media guy for the LA Galaxy. Is that the soccer team?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's been doing that for like 15 years with Facebook and YouTube and now the Galaxy, and so he gave him like a little crash course in how to do all this stuff. And so he worked really hard on it. So we'll see what comes of it.
That's really cool.
Good luck.
Awesome. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. And that's also a nice little reach back to your brother-in-law or his uncle if he ends up getting
totally.
it and needs another walkthrough,
Right?
Or needs some ideas.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
It's about networking. And before I went into nursing school, my friend gave me this book called What Color Is Your Parachute? I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's pretty popular. And one thing I remember from that book was it's not the person who is the most qualified for the job. It's the person who knows the most about how to get hired. And
that is absolutely true.
And that has to do with networking and all that. So, yeah, it's certainly a focus that he, what you lack perhaps in head smarts, you can make up for in networking and being amiable and all that.
Yeah, and taking initiative or just
Right.
like asking
initiative.
questions, seeking answers, like all that.
I mean,
stuff
he's a
is
smart kid.
definitely-
He just doesn't like school. So,
So then what he needs to get a job that he enjoys doing.
Right.
And that
Yeah.
will keep him engaged, and he'll do more than is needed to actually work,
yeah.
Kind of like envelop himself in the process and in the ideas. Yeah, that's good.
Well, hey, Tim, Wally and I out here, and I will compete with Wally in a death match for this. If you send Wyatt out, we are hiring. And
Oh, yeah?
yeah, Wally, you want to do a death match to see who can hire Wyatt for DSP or something, like as an entry-level job out of high school?
Yes. Oh, well, I can't until he's 21. Kids are different.
Oh, I can do it now.
Is that because you guys serve alcohol there, Wally?
Yeah, it's required.
21.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So yeah, I sent that link to everybody about the Sean Ryan show. I don't know if you guys watched that, but
I skimmed
Tebow
it.
was on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's better than the other two did. They just disregarded everything. Pretty much all the memes. They don't even react to any of the stuff that I send anymore.
No,
I know
Nate,
we're all
Nate.
busy, but a
Nate.
little LOL every now and then, or
No, that's
You
not
throw
That's
you
not
throw
true.
memes at like 4 a.m. 4 a.m. our time, which baffles me.
And
That's not
by the
true.
way,
That's not true. I've been sending them at reasonable hours.
I'm
recently.
fine with it. I'm not. That wasn't a complaint. It was an observation.
And I go back and revisit. You guys send some text messages that I don't get a chance to read when they're sent, and I go back and I revisit them. I may not react to them because the time has passed, but
So what
I've been
makes you
meaning
think
to-
we're
I've-
not doing the same?
I've been meaning to send you a video, Nate, saying
well,
let's
you told
get
me
at
you
it.
didn't.
with me doing a superset with 10 pounds curling,
There you
just
go.
as a
Get after
response.
it. Get after it, man. You
Get after
should.
it. I'd like to see that.
Or you should just send the meme of Will Ferrell and Anchorman, like when he
Yeah.
does the 1001. I just did 1,000 curls. I don't know. I send some of that stuff for motivation. I put that on my social media as well for
No,
motivation.
Nate, in all honesty, sometimes it does motivate me because some days I'm like, man, I had a few last night. I got to go to work, and I see something like that, and I'm like, that. Now I got to go home and work out, and then I'm no joke. Sometimes I do, especially that one where you did this thing, and then this thing up and back down. I'm like, if I tried that, my both triceps would tear at the same time,
No, they
and
wouldn't.
I
They
would be on the
wouldn't tear.
ground and in the hospital.
Your shoulders would tear first.
See, I don't even know what I'm talking. I
Triceps.
don't even know what would tear.
Yeah. No, that's one of those. It's called a muscle up with rings. You can do it on the bar too, but yeah, that's kind of one of the staple. I shouldn't say a staple, but like that's one of the moves most people in CrossFit are trying to achieve. It took me a long time. I don't know if you guys ever get into Olympic lifting, but like the power cleans coming off the ground. Deadlift is technically an Olympic lift as well, but like power cleans, clean and jerks, and then the snatchers. I don't know if you guys have ever watched any videos of that, but like
Wait, are we talking about porn right now? I'm very confused.
no, but the thing about CrossFit is it's one of the only places where you can say like that's a beautiful snatch to anybody that's in the gym, and as long as you're talking about the right thing, it's appropriate. But if you're definitely talking about the wrong thing, then of course everyone will know and it'll be inappropriate. But you can say it out loud. And as a coach, I say that all the time.
I bet you
it's
do.
definitely appropriate. Yeah. I also say you have a beautiful snatch. Girls.
I want to
and
make a
guys.
shirt that says I just do CrossFit for the innuendos.
Yeah, take it a step further, Tim. Say, I just do CrossFit for the snatch.
It's pretty funny. It's funny to hear people say that, but it's true.
Oh
I was just telling also the boys, Tim, there's a workout on Memorial Day called the Murph.
Oh, I've done that before.
Yeah, I'll be doing it on Monday. So
maybe I'll do it with the boys. What is it again? A mile, and then it's 300. Yeah,
100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 air squats, and then run another mile. But I haven't done it. Technically, that's RX when you do it in that sequence. You have to do the 100 before you do the 200, finish the 200, then you do the 3. But I haven't done that in probably about 4 years, and I do it every year. But
yeah, when I did
it's so boring to do 100 of something.
Yeah,
and not motivating, and then you got to do 200 or something,
right?
And then you got to do 300. Like it's just not fun at all. So
I think when I did like the 10 pull-ups, 20 push-ups, 30 squats, so on and so forth. That is probably what most people do.
Yeah, I do 5, 10, 15 for 20 rounds. So
okay.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit stronger than you, so that's probably what offsets that a little bit, but
yeah,
that's cool. You're at your own pace.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
I like to move continuously. 5 is an easy number. 10 push-ups I could knock out. I could probably do 30 rounds of that without, just at a nice consistent pace. So
yeah.
I think, to be honest, Nate shared with me, it's not the physical aspect, it's the counting. Once we get up over 10, it gets really challenging.
Challenging for Nate.
Very true. It's very
nothing
true.
to be ashamed of. This is a safe place. We can be honest with each other.
It's very true. I don't like counting that high. That's true. Sometimes we actually have sections on the floor for like when you're doing your air squats, it's like 10, then 20, then that way you have to do 10, then move 20, 30. Yeah, it's all written down for us because we don't count while we're working out.
Well, it's easy to lose track of the number when you want to vomit.
Tim, is that a bunny behind you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got lots of bunnies in my yard.
There's some in your backyard too. It's just cold out there. They don't go out and about very often unless they're hungry.
I saw like 7 deer as I was walking through to my neighbor's house. Scared the living Jesus out of me. But like I saw seven deers as I was walking through, but never a bunny. I've never seen a bunny.
You've never seen a bunny?
Not in my yard.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry. I should have clarified
So
that.
yeah,
Thank you.
I didn't mean to get us off track with working out and all that, but so the Sean Ryan show, he interviewed Tim Tebow. There was a lot in that interview that I was very intrigued by and interested by, but I thought like definitely I like Sean Ryan because he has a whole bunch of content and you can go back to his early days if you want to and listen to some of his stuff that he talks about where when he found faith and like he's super faithful now. He's doing a new studio for his show and his team, and he wrapped it in scripture. Like each one of the support beams has a scripture annotated on it before they put the drywall up and enclose everything. So he's super spiritual, former CIA guy, former Navy SEALs. Like he's got a lot of stories, and he brings on a lot of people that have very interesting stories to tell, including like guys that talk about UFOs, guys that talk about new energy weapons that they're developing, like
hmm.
kind of very, very full spectrum and broad spectrum that he covers. But I thought it was interesting. One, Tim Tebow, he was talking about, I think it's the Renewed Hope Act, which is basically something that I wasn't aware of. We know that pedophilia exists throughout the world. Like it's disgusting. None of us support it. We literally probably would want to shoot people in the face if we knew that was going on with people that we engage with on a daily basis or just happen to meet. At least that's how I feel about it. And it's disgusting. But also the trafficking, prostitution, human trafficking, all that stuff is pretty rampant throughout the world, not just in the United States. But I thought some of the things that he pointed out was basically like child pornography. We as in America are the largest consumer of child pornography in the world, which again, we're a free state, right? Or a free country. I don't think that it should happen that way, but the good comes the bad. So it makes sense that if most everybody has a cell phone readily available, is able to afford a cell phone, is able to afford a computer, that it's just going to increase the numbers as far as, again, the good and the bad. People that do good with an electronic device, it's probably going to increase the number of people that are going to do bad with the electronic
Hold
device.
on. No, I got to challenge that right away.
Yeah.
I got to challenge that right away because
Challenge it.
I would love to understand, like, because pedophilia is, I would love to know research wise, like, what's the percentage of people who are actually interested in that? Because it is, we all can agree objectively.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because if you had listened to the podcast that I sent, there would have been a plethora of information on there, and you would have been able to research it on your own via listening to that podcast.
Jesus
So,
Christ,
having
Chet.
said that,
Try to keep up, Chet, will you please?
It's not that I
Right.
agree with. It's not that I agree with the fact that people are doing it. It's just that, again, we're not a third world country like let's say a third of the world is. So we have things readily available to us that allow us to gain access. Again, an internet connection that we pay for at our house. Like,
right.
if you were to ask Google, what percentage of Americans have an internet connection in their house? Like 100, it'd probably be like 98% of Americans have it, right? So
right. So I think a more telling statistic would be like percentage versus volume. But there's also places where that's culturally ingrained, right? Like child brides, things of that nature is prevalent in certain parts of the world. And certainly you hear about the horror stories of the way women are treated in countries like India or the Middle East or things along those lines.
well, they're not.
And furthermore, who knows? I think we have better analytics. We probably have better prosecution. We have better ways to monitor that going on. It was hard for me to just say, even though I listened to the podcast, I have a hard time recalling some of the facts. But it's hard for me to say definitively like that we are the worst country at it when it feels like some of the stuff you hear about, like Thailand and Indonesia, like that area, like there's some bad shit that goes on over there that seems to be ingrained in part of their identity. They're a sex tourism country, for crying out
I
loud.
know they are. Did you
Um,
guys see the Jared documentary, the Subway Surfer guy?
and by the way, let me finish this. I have not seen that. I know what kind of bad thing is. I'm not trying to defend America because I do think we're morally corrupt in a lot of regards. It is too big of a problem and far too prevalent. But it's hard to say that we're the worst at it. I have a hard time believing that, I guess.
Well, I mean, as far as people that commit pedophilia like that, I don't know that statistic, but and that wasn't the statistic that was brought up. The statistic was that we consume the most child pornography, right? Child
Oh, you mean
pornography
like
and like rape pornography, like whatever form of pornography that where there are illegal acts being committed. Like we as Americans are the we consume the most of that. It's not it's not Americans doing it, it's Americans consuming it, which again,
Gotcha.
in other countries, we're the breadwinner for them. Like they want to, it encourages them to produce it because we're then consuming.
We're the consumer. We're the consumer.
I see what you're saying, Nate. So I see what you're saying. So because we
the
have
largest consumer of it.
But-
Yeah, that probably.
but
we all have
in-
cell phones,
in-
we all have all the stuff. We have all the access. So by us actually, not us as in the four of us, but like in America, if there are people who are choosing to access this content, it is in essence encouraging these other places to create more of that content for us.
Yes.
So we are part of the problem. Yeah, I agree with that. I've always agreed with that. I've actually said that numerous times.
Yeah.
I misunderstood what you were trying to say.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Hey, come on, man.
But the thing about it also is that, again, by consuming it, I think we're directly involved, right? We're not just a third party, because by consuming it, it also gives people ideas to actually reenact or act those things out. So, but what it also does is it brings, dang, I lost my train of thought. It allows it to happen. So again, in other episodes of the Sean Ryan show, he's brought on like computer hackers that'll come in.
I've seen that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, and he literally tells the guy like, "Hey man, we're gonna go on like a 5-minute break, and then when we come back, I'd like you to try and get on and like bait some pedophiles into talking to a 15-year-old kid,
Yep.
male or female." And then comes on within 5 minutes. He opens the guy opens up a site that's again secured. He claims to be a 14-year-old female, and again he starts almost instantaneously, one hit after another, messages coming in talking about. I think the message board was just like, I'm 14 and want to have fun. Let's chat. Nothing that doesn't seem like it's a bad thing, but then you get a 47 or a 60-year-old man or someone that claims to be through the conversation. And like, that is alarming, to be honest with you. And again, that's the world we live in. Unfortunately, when we give our kids a cell phone, we, as Tim Tebow and Sean Ryan stated on that podcast, it was, we're not giving our kid access to the world. We're giving the world access to our children when we hand them that device.
So the question then becomes, because Tim, you said you don't have social media in your house, right? Or your kids couldn't have that, right? I can certainly respect that choice. That makes a lot of sense to me. And then what I'm faced with over here is like, I've got a daughter who I don't want to feel isolated or secluded. And so I'm trying to figure out a way to like manage that. So we have the Verizon, like, how much money we pay, like, I think $100 a month just to control what she's doing, only to find out all that money that we're paying is bullshit, because they can still find ways through it, because they're smarter than us, because they've grown up in this whole situation. So yeah, like you guys are speaking right to my soul right now, because it's terrifying that, she could just be like, hey, I'm shy and I have a cheer routine and I'd like someone to tell me that they think I'm doing well. And of course, a lot of times the whoever it is on the other side of that is not looking at it for like, oh, that's great. They're looking at it because they have a purpose in mind, and that is absolutely terrifying. You're not going to find me ever like resting on my laurels with that stuff because I'm always worried about it. And part of me though wants to be like, none. Like Sabrina, I've talked about it. No more. Done with your cell phone. Done with access. But then, and you guys all have a unique understanding of my psyche around this. Feeling isolated is not what I want her to feel like.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's always going to be the problem. So I will listen to that podcast now.
Yeah, you should. There's a through the podcast and other podcasts. There's different apps that you can use to track things on their phone, what they're doing, what sites they're accessing, and then you can either block or give access or deny that access.
Yeah.
And
We deny access to most things, including like most apps that she asked for. We're like, no games, no contacts, no. But I'm still finding out that they find ways to hack through it because they have access to basically a huge computer in their hand, and that is actually very scary.
Yeah, I mean, there's been chat rooms that have been created through games. So yeah, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. I experienced it a lot earlier, but it was still, we gave my daughter a phone before I wanted to give her a phone. But it was also a phone that we gave her because we wanted to be able to contact her and we wanted her to have contact with us in the event of any emergency. We limited access as far as internet access. We knew she had a Wi-Fi connection at the school. But yeah, we tried to limit access, but at the end of the day, we did feel like we were isolating her. She resented us for it, but it is what it is. That's parenting. They're we don't want them to hate us, but if you're doing your job, they're going to resent some of the choices that you make for them.
Always.
Because they're not adult enough to understand the decision or why the decision's being made for them. So yeah. What do you got on that, Wally? Your kids are coming up. What do you think? What do you think an appropriate age for? Does Dory have a cell phone currently, or just a watch?
She does not. She's got a watch. She's got a watch that we control through an app. That was kind of a first step in it. I think it's about communication and clear boundaries and expectations, but it's got to start with a cornerstone of open dialogue, and just I would say some level of transparency in terms of like the thought process and the why. I'm big on explaining the why and not just setting arbitrary rules and expectations, but explaining kind of what went into that and what it's about and trying to like address things as they come up. But it's got to start with, again, clear expectations, clear boundaries, clear dialogue. I like, this is what I do professionally. I work with teenagers on a daily basis, and I think that like at a certain level, everyone craves or desires some level of consistency, and if you apply that same logic to structure and outlining what the expectations are, both positive and negative, I think it helps. So I'm not as concerned with trying to like limit access because that cat's out of the bag. It's everywhere. And if you send your kids to a public school, if you send your kids to a sports team, if your kids go to a sleepover, the access is there. So you've got to have some level of trust because they're going to be able to. I mean, in my kids, right? My kids go to public school. They're on so many different clubs and so many different teams. We have a robust community, a positive community. So you try to surround them with positive people. You try to surround them with positively influential people in a strong community and hope they make the right decisions. And when they don't, well, you've laid out the expectations, laid out the consequences, and you have to adhere by them. I don't think there's any magic trick to it. You just got to kind of build that relationship.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was a
Well
good
done.
move or not, but when my son was, he must have been like 12 or 13 or maybe towards middle older. He was playing Minecraft, and his handle it was phase. His handle was fuckboy some number, and so like, how do you address this? There's a variety of ways to address it. So I had these paste on letters, and I made a T-shirt that said "fuck boy," whatever that number was.
And you walked around to school with it?
No, and I put it in a gift bag, and I was like, "Hey, I made something for you." And he pulled it out, and as soon as he looked at it, he was like this red face, you know. And I was like, "Buddy, this is not to condemn you, but I want to know this is how you're presenting yourself
That's
to the
right.
world. And so you might as well just be wearing a T-shirt with his name on it." And I think it hit home.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear that he still has a T-shirt.
well done, Tim.
Yeah.
Well
How
done.
how did you handle, especially as he got older, and of course he graduated last week. So
Yeah.
like, how did you handle that in his older years, as far as, he's still the kid that doesn't have an Instagram account, or does he have an account and he's just not allowed to access
So
in?
so when when I say he doesn't have any social media, there is one that I guess it would be classified as social media. It's called Be Real. Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm.
It's pretty. I think it's pretty neat. You know, of the social media, it's relatively benign. It triggers you, or like prompts you throughout the day to take a picture of just whatever you're doing. So it takes a picture facing you, and then the other camera facing away, and so just kind of see the context. And it's kind of sort of like a double entendre. Be real, but also like a be real of a film is just like the odds and ends that you put together. And so he's had that for a year or so, and you know, but you know, when it's your oldest, as you know, you've never done this before, and so everything's kind of an experiment. But as a young man, um, trying to call them up to an honorable life rather than scolding, and so there's been a lot of failures, but that's generally the trajectory. Is what can we do to call him up to honor, to call him up to integrity, um, and showing him a better way rather than spanking, that kind of thing, and just kind of leaving it be punishment, so it's there certainly is some, you don't have access to your phone for X number of days or weeks, and there's that too, but also a face-to-face, a nearness. Fathers need to be near to their kids, and a calling up to a higher level, like, hey, we're better than that. And that's not going to lead to blessing. That's not going to lead to um, joy. So, yeah, it's just kind of generally how we try and approach things.
That's
Nothing's
interesting.
perfect.
I mean,
That's interesting. Yeah.
creating that T-shirt though, man, that's straight genius. That is good stuff. I'm stealing that. If something like that ever comes up, that's my plan, because it leads to a conversation, a
Yes.
super uncomfortable conversation, but one where you start to gain trust
Yeah.
from your son. Like, it was like, okay, I love you. This is the reason I'm showing this to you is not to make you feel shame,
Right. Yeah.
but to engage in real conversation. That's
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah.
We did something similar with Haley. She put in a voicemail like, I don't know, I'm gonna embarrass myself, but there's a sounds like, bitch, I said what I said. I'd rather be fit. And she, without telling us, made that her fucking voicemail. So one day I walked in and I just started singing it. And I was like, do you know that song? And she still tried to like play it off, but we got there and it was a real conversation. And afterwards, actually, and Tim, I'd love to hear the aftermath, because what we found was that she started saying to me, hey, I may not want to be friends with this person, because I'm feeling like it's tough. Like, she started trusting us more because we approached it without like that shame, but more like, we got your back, we love you.
Yeah.
It does help.
Yeah, I mean, you're growing a garden, and so yeah, you need to pluck weeds, and that's important. But the point of having a garden isn't to pluck weeds; it's to grow fruit.
You know
And
it.
so, how do you go about doing that? And you know, like I said, when it's your first kid, particularly, and like every kid's different. So in some ways,
Kid is different.
everything is
Yep.
unique. You don't really get to learn from
Every
one to
situational.
apply it
Yep.
necessarily. So yeah, it's challenging. But when I thinking about having kids, like I feel like before I had kids, my emotional capacity was from like a 3 of sadness to a 7 of happiness. And then when you have kids, it opens up the bell curve of like, now I have a 1 of despair and a 10 of elation. And so but I wouldn't trade it for anything, you know?
No, I agree. Well said.
So I think I've described having a child as like, you've decided to have an open heart wound that will literally never heal. And it all depends on what happens there. And I'm 100% comfortable with that. I'm good with that.
Yeah. You know, what do you guys think about if you getting back to the dark topic, child pornography?
Oh yeah.
What is it about, and it's mostly men, obviously, right? What is it about the desire to transgress in that particular way? You have access to prostitutes all over the world, access to unlimited porn, but no, I want to do that to innocence. What it, is it possible to enter into that psyche at all? If you were to take a stab at what's going on there, what would you say?
My best guess is, and I have like again no doubt about stuff. You got to wonder what percentage of it is cyclical. They were abused and they abused, I don't know the answer to that. But how prevalent was it? Was it more prevalent 50 years ago than it is today? Was it less prevalent? I don't know. I don't. So I wonder if hurt people. I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm not justifying it, but I do think you'll find that a high percentage of abusers were abused people.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that it's just like it's evil, man. I honestly think that it's the devil's work. Honestly, like I do believe in God, and I do believe that the devil exists. And if we want to put it into layman's terms, like a, a movie that I would quote is John Constantine, where he, it's a game. It's literally a game. There is, yes, we as humans on the earth, we go about our daily business, but when questions arise, or we choices that we make, we can be influenced one way or the other by good or bad. And I feel like definitely, of course, somebody that has been abused or been in that realm or that world will naturally be approached by evil again sometime in their life, and the decision that they make is the direction that they go. And I think that the only way for me to describe it is that it's just evil. Like it is the devil at work. I can't think of any other reason why an adult human being, would want to harm a child, male or female, at any point in their lives when they have done nothing. It's almost like, again, the evil sees the innocence and wants to corrupt the innocence in
Yeah.
that soul. And it's just it's alarming. I don't like to think about it. I don't like to think that there are people out there that are like that. But and again, I'd like to shoot all of them in the face.
Hey,
Like,
yeah, no, I think I'll say this.
the
Hurt
worst
people
part
hurt
is, though,
people.
is that they're cowards. Sorry, I don't mean to. I just had one. They're cowards. They're people that are going to hide it. They're people that will deceive everybody that they know to make them, because it's not something that's accepted in this world. And as soon as somebody knows about it, there is going to be a whistleblower. And that was also part of the podcast where, you know, how when you see something and it's not right, you should do something about it. And they went in the podcast. They talked about a few different scenarios. One was somebody was murdered in a hallway in an apartment building in New York. A bunch of people opened their doors, heard something, saw something, and then closed their doors and didn't intervene. But that individual, the act happened. The individual was laying in the hallway. The act of somebody opening the door and seeing them made the assaulter leave, but then he noticed that no one was coming out, so he came back, stabbed her again several times, and then somebody ended up opening the door again, and he left and didn't take the chance to go back. But then, yeah, that was anyway.
So Nate, you're referring to Kitty Genovese.
Mm-hmm.
And the diffusion of responsibility, and I can't stand that. That's why if I ever see something, I step in, regardless of what it means for me. But back to the whole terrible thing. I actually think in so many ways, Wally's point about hurt people is actually true, but that's not in any way an endorsement of that. What he's trying to say is that this is what happens. It's cyclical in a lot of ways. So I think as hopefully out of the four of us, I'm in the unique position to understand how this works. And my life's work has been to break the cycle. And so with everything, not just that one thing, but everything about breaking the cycle. And I do believe there's something to be said about, I know you said good versus evil, Nate, and there's part of me that really does consider that. Is that real? A lot of me considers the extra parts, the variables that go into human condition, that goes into the experience of human life. But what I personally strive to is to make sure that, my kids are okay, my friends are okay, and my friends have kids. My friends' kids feel safe, that everyone feels safe around me. That's the idea. And I only make friends with people where I feel like I can trust. And that's hard for me. I feel like I can trust my kids will be safe with them. It's a complicated world. It really is. But tell me more about the good versus evil, Nate, because I've never heard you say that. Like I'm loving that you're bringing it out now. Like, what do you mean?
Oh, I mean that we go through life. I do agree with Wally. Like hurt people. Like
Yep.
Absolutely. But there are others that will break the cycle, and whether that's because they're determined to not hurt people physically, emotionally, and they break the cycle, good for them. But they're still scarring. There's still emotional damage there, and I just think, I don't think I say good versus evil because I do, again, I believe that there is a God. I believe that the devil exists. They both influence people in their own ways. But I don't think you have to be practicing a religion. I feel like you need to believe in those two things because they do exist. Like I find it hard for anybody to say that good and evil do not exist. And if those two things exist, good and bad behavior, there's something outside of the human body that will influence those two actions. I don't think humans are capable of bad things. I think they're influenced to do bad things, and then thus they're capable of them. So again, I just feel like you don't have to go into a church and practice religion. You can live a life of virtue, not based off of one of the many different Bibles or a version of the Bible, i.e., the Quran or something else. But again, if you understand and educate yourself on just virtues in general, I think you'll definitely break that cycle of being one of the hurt people that hurt people.
Yes, for sure. And Nate, there's also something to what you're saying though, which you didn't get to it, but I bet you would have once I say it. Hurt people is 100% something that happens in the world. But there's also situations where someone who's born into like the best circumstances with everything at their fingertips, make the decision to hurt people. and they are not hurt. They've been given everything and they still hurt. So I think that's also something to your point about like maybe there is like this good or evil. I'm a big person on nuance and the whole psychological impact and the psyche. I'm big on that. But to your point, you know, there are these people that out of nowhere, for no reason, seemingly, given everything, decide to go down a path that ends up hurting other people for no reason.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, if you were to create a scenario where a kid has everything, let's say it's a male, he has everything growing up, access to sports, access to the best education, you know, they become an educated person. They're lacking a male role model, even though their father is in their life. They're not involved because they're busy working all the time, et cetera, et cetera. That individual could end up with daddy issues and resentment towards that individual, even though that individual did everything in their power that money could buy to provide an amazing life for this individual. They could have resentment for that individual, and that resentment, even though you're educated, takes them down a path of making bad decisions because in their mind, right, in their head, this is either getting back at that individual for the lack of time that they spent with me, or I don't want to follow in their footsteps. I don't want to be rich and successful. I just want to, you know, do drugs and et cetera, et cetera. Then it's the drugs that are influencing them to do bad things, et cetera. So yeah, that scenario definitely exists. There's been true stories and you know, fake stories in movies that have talked about those scenarios. So we know they exist, but yeah, it's human beings in this world. It's crazy. You know, we're all, the four of us are pretty sane, and the amount of things that we could think about as far as good and bad, like they probably happen every hour of a day in this world. Like it's just crazy, which is why we should, again, like, think about positive things.
Hey, Nate, you asked earlier.
Positive things. Maybe that'll influence things.
Maybe it will, but you did ask for some stuff outside of sports we should talk about, and I am seeing something now that I just thought of. These female influencers in these crazy ass countries that are being hunted and killed. That's some bullshit. We should at some point put that on, because some girl, I forget, I don't know her name or where she's from, but like it happened within like 2 weeks. Like two people happened, but one was on live stream. All she was doing was trying to show the world that she figured out some nice makeup and then it works out well for her. But some guy who got too jealous or who knows the what decided to hunt her down. And then like a week later or 2 weeks later, the same thing happened somewhere else. It was like a copycat thing. Did you guys hear about this?
No.
All right. I will do the research and find this for you because it was very alarming. I was like, it's one thing to be like, oh, that girl thinks she's something. And be attracted to her and be like, I could never get her and have that little thing. But it's different when you actually act on that stuff. And it was disgusting. Like you didn't see it. I'll send you guys a link. I will work on that because it was alarming to me.
I think it's one of the perils so when you put yourself out there to a unknown audience and you make yourself vulnerable or you make yourself attractive or you sexualize yourself in some capacity, you do so at a risk. We live in a violent, in large part, in many parts, morally corrupt society where there's a lot of really sick people. And when you put yourself out there in that fashion, you are vulnerable to people that aren't able to control those emotions or are living in a fantasy land, or maybe they're wildly addicted to drugs and it's warped their reality. But you put yourself at risk, and now I mean the potential gains are substantial too, right? You can become a millionaire. You can make you and your children's lives exponentially more comfortable. You can solve the financial risk, but at what cost, right? So when again, situations like that are a real possibility. I mean, it's as far back as this is nothing new. What's the name of that Mexican singer, Selena, who was
Yeah.
shot
Yep.
and killed by her own fan club president?
Yep.
There are crazy people out there that do crazy things.
Yeah,
But
I
again,
will tell you,
it's a risk reward thing, right? And everyone's got that balance. You got to figure out what for yourself. Like cops, you make a paycheck, but you put yourself at risk every time you go in, right? I mean, like there's a cost reward balance for every profession out there.
100%.
Yeah.
I fire people. Wally, you do too, right? I've actually been told like set my desk up a certain way because if someone comes in, at least I can see them coming. Like I've literally been told that by the owners of the company because they've been there.
Yeah.
I'll also tell you, all the money that I get from my OnlyFans page and the people that subscribe, even the people that pay me, sometimes some of them pay me to demoralize and like degrade me. Like I still take their money, but I don't understand it. The link will be provided in the comments below.
I don't think he was joking. That came
Has the
too
ring of truth
naturally.
to it.
Who knows? I mean, I just outed myself. You might not see my face, but I'm just saying.
Oh man.
But on the topic, Tim, you mentioned
I was
your son
wondering how
played
you could be
Minecraft
retired at how you were able to be
at
retired at
45.
Now we know.
Hey,
Now we know.
Things are adding up now.
I mean, I do pretty well. I do pretty well for myself. I'm not gonna lie. But back to Minecraft, Tim. Did you see the movie and how it's doing?
Back to
I did not see
Minecraft.
the movie, and I don't
What a
plan on
toss
it.
back.
Yeah, not to
Yeah,
get off topic. I know we want to discuss my OnlyFans page, but
Yeah. Yeah, your handle is Sergeant Private, isn't it?
yeah, private parts. Private parts, yeah. But no, the Minecraft movie, like it's blown everything out of the water this year, and it's about to kill like the Titanic and all of the other major films that have in total gross.
Chicken jockey.
Yeah.
I just watched it with my son's been dying to see it. So I rented it this past weekend. We watched it. That was a terrible movie. I don't know Minecraft. I know nothing about Minecraft. Apparently, there were jokes intertwined that were relevant to Minecraft. I know nothing about those. I felt like again an out of touch middle-aged father that was clearly not in on the joke that was Minecraft movie.
Who was one of the influencers? Did Mr. Beast start off doing Minecraft videos, and then or there's somebody else that started off doing Minecraft videos, which was just basically they'd start off and do an instructional video on how to build something, and then they gained a huge audience and they're like Do you know who I'm talking about, Wally? Does your son watch anything on YouTube?
No, I don't let him on YouTube.
I feel like it's either Mr. Beast or it's another major influencer that literally they made their millions off of making Minecraft videos and then little kids watching and then recreating it in Minecraft. It's crazy.
There's a couple good TED Talks and documentaries on like the algorithm of YouTube and how quickly it can go from your kid watching Minecraft videos to some satanic like ritual embedded in a Minecraft video. Like it's scary shit. You can watch something like be watching Mickey Mouse videos and then like it literally like Mickey Mouse being hung from a bridge. Like what the fuck just happened? YouTube's a wild
if you don't set
it's
the
the Wild
parental
West.
settings.
No, even with the parental settings, man, I don't know. I think it's a slippery slope. It's very dangerous.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying too. Like we pay $100 a month for those settings, and we still find out like nothing like that yet. But like something slips in, you're like, what? What?
And I think you said it well, Chet. Kids are much smarter than we are as it pertains to technology and ways to circumvent it.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh, my daughter, when she got her cell phone, she was telling me how to do certain things. Just little like hepatic things on the phone, like, ooh, touch the screen with 3 fingers and it does this. Like I had no idea, but it was something that you actually needed to be done. Like instead of swiping to find something, you just like hit it with 3 fingers and it'll bring up your favorites or the last bunch of apps that you accessed, and then you would anyway. That was just one of the things.
No, but I think Tim's
Super
point
smart.
earlier, which I didn't even know this, Tim, that we philosophically stand on the same page. We know they're going to be, they're going to see it. They have access to it. It's so much about let us have a conversation with you. Trust us enough to have a conversation with you. We won't shame you. We're not going to make you feel bad. We just want to help you understand the world and hopefully help you not make the same mistakes we did, but also we don't know the world you're going into. Good luck, but we got your back. Like the idea that they know we have their back is a really big deal.
It takes an incredible amount of, I don't know, prophetic ability as a parent to be like, okay, where can this go? What can this grow into? What is this little green thing I see coming out of the ground? Is this going to be a weed? Is it fruit? Is it something we pluck right away? So yeah, and then even on a mass scale, projecting to the future, okay, game theorying out what this might look like, as far as you know, economics and things like that. I'm gonna have to pause here for a sec. I'm on call. I got to take this call.
Yeah, take it.
No worries.
Go save a life. Go save a life. We'll let him go to that, of course.
Of course we will.
Being on call is the worst.
It is the worst.
It's like an anxiety-inducing hell.
So did we watch the Knicks and the Pacers? Did you guys watch that game?
Oh, I did not watch it. I just saw the Sports Center recap, and I was amazed by what happened.
Why are you guys not watching it?
I'm watching the Thunder in Minnesota right now.
I have OKC in Minnesota on right now.
I don't, but that's because
Nate, most of us aren't retired, so we have to actually go to bed at a certain time, so we can't watch every NBA game.
And I really don't like
watching game one,
I don't like watching SGA play basketball. I'm watching this game. He's a foul merchant. It's the same concerns I had about the Knicks, and I just don't like their style of basketball. I don't like how they draw fouls. I don't like them flopping to the ground. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it. And I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's called equitably across the league. I'm just not a big fan of it.
I think both Jalen Brunson and SGA have really good body control to where they can flop, but it looks they're very much in control of their body when they do that. So it looks like the contact is a two-way contact, and they have really good body control, and they can still control their body while they're flopping, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting. One, I wanted to watch the series with the Indiana Pacers and the Knicks because, again, I wanted to see the two teams that we potentially should have beaten. Like, hands down, both of those teams are not better than the Celtics. On any given day, even without Jason Tatum. But it doesn't matter, right? Because we did lose to the Knicks.
We did.
That's all that matters. But I thought, obviously, that game. I didn't watch because I turned the game off when they were down 17. When Indy was down 17 in the fourth quarter. But on Wednesday, or entering Wednesday, teams that trailed by 9 or more points in the final minute of the fourth quarter or overtime in the playoffs were 1,414. So astronomically speaking, like they won a game in which no one has ever been able to win in that scenario. I do pose a question to you guys. Cat had a really good game. Brunson had a really good game. Normally, if those two things happen, the Knicks are going to win either way. Do you think Indiana can sustain this and potentially win the series? Or do you think this is a one-off? Kind of like what we said about the Celtics with the first two games. They shot astronomically terrible, and they're still going to win the series, but they ended up losing. Wally.
Yes, they can keep it up. I don't think the Knicks are anything special, to be honest. I think the Pacers match up really well against them. They don't really have any. I think they keep it up. Will they keep it up? I'm not certain. I think it'll be a close series. I think it'll go back and forth throughout. I think every game has potential to be close. they're evenly matched team, especially the way Indiana's playing. Indiana's playing the best basketball of the year, bar none. Halliburton is playing his best basketball, maybe of his career right now. So I'm not counting out these Pacers. I just don't like the Knicks. Again, I was just saying I don't like their style of basketball. I don't like watching them play. They remind me a lot of a poor man's OKC. They're really strong defensive team, not great offensive, dependent upon a ball-heavy guard who flops and gets half of their points from the free throw line. It's not a fun style of basketball.
Of the league.
And he didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve it in no measure. There's another guy who averaged a triple-double in the NBA. Like, let's not pretend. You take him off the Thunder, they're still a really good team. You take Jokic off the Nuggets, they don't make the playoffs. And they're one of the worst teams in the NBA. This is not even a debate. This is not a debate. Jokic was the best basketball player in the NBA just by a mile.
Remember, though, Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double for 4 seasons. Not just one, not in a row. That would be a record. But he averaged.
And this guy's blue. What's that got to do with this conversation?
Because he wasn't the MVP. He wasn't the MVP, is what I'm.
He was in the top 3 of all 3 major statistical categories this year. The
sky is blue. What does that have to do with anything?
It's in the NBA. What the hell? This is central to the debate.
No, it's not.
This year in the NBA, he was in the top 3 of the 3 major offensive statistical categories. He was the best player in the NBA by a mile.
Well, again, it's the fatigue factor. Just like for the same reason that Jordan didn't. I'm not. Life isn't fair. We know that. Like, I'm just telling you the reasons why. I think Jokic should have won it too. Because again,
then what are we fighting about?
I'm arguing both sides. I think SGA is a great player. I also think he's deserving of the award. But Jokic was hands down. Again, you average a triple-double, and when you look at him as a player, the position that he plays and the way that he plays it, like hands down, he's deserving of the MVP. But he did win it last year, and again, the whole fatigue thing. He's been in the conversation for the last 3 years. I don't agree with it, but that's the same reason why Michael Jordan, LeBron James don't win the MVP every year, because people don't want to vote for him because they just won it last year or whatever the reason. I'm not really sure. But
it's a WWE, right? You got to make a new superstar.
Yeah, I do think
like the MVP every year since 1987 with Shawn Michaels every single year. We all can agree until the end of time. Yeah. But sometimes they got to push a new guy, so they do it.
I agree. In being the superstar league it is, let's be honest about the biggest star in basketball. It's a she, and her name is Caitlin Clark.
I agree.
Yeah. I agree with that. Did you guys see the?
Do you think you could take Caitlin Clark from that one?
Could I? No, I don't think I could. Not right now. I
think any of us could.
She can shoot. She can shoot from the low.
We couldn't beat her 4-on-1. Probably.
The 4 of us get together, she would still whoop our ass.
I don't think so. We can muscle her. Like I'm throwing elbows. There's no way I'm letting her beat the 4 of us.
You're playing dirty.
I know Tim will play dirty with me.
She's not going to hit a shot on me because I'm not going to let her jump off the ground.
How tall is she?
I don't think she's that tall. I think 5'6", 5'7". I don't think she's that tall.
But to go back to the Knicks, like the Knicks don't do well when they're in a prosperous situation. Like they don't do well in prosperity. They do well when their backs are against the wall or the chips are down or everybody but the city of New York is down on them. So I think they're in a good spot to, again, probably win the series just for that reason. It might go 7, but I feel like they're still going to win. I want to look at Caitlin Clark. Go ahead, Tim.
I don't know what you had planned to talk about. I was wondering what people's thoughts were on the cancer diagnosis of Biden.
Ooh, that's an interesting topic. Yeah. How do you feel about that, Wally?
I mean, I hope he gets well soon. I'm guessing your implication is was this kept under wraps? I mean, I don't know enough from a medical perspective. It's metastasized, so the premise being that he's known about it for a while and they hid it from us. Is that what we're getting at?
Well, yeah, I
Where
mean,
was it
it's
detected,
certainly one of
by
the
the way?
options.
Where is the cancer? Do we know?
It was
It's
prostate
prostate
cancer.
cancer
Prostate. That's right.
that metastasized.
So
Yeah.
he really does have nuts. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you don't have to have nuts to have a prostate. So
I think, did he have prostate cancer as a president? I don't know. You tell me from a medical perspective. Like I've seen things that suggest the rate, like the fact that it metastasized means that he's had it for a little bit longer. Like I don't. Do you know much about oncology?
well, I don't know much about oncology, but I know sort of the basics about prostate cancer just for screening and things like that.
Mhm.
Um, it's pretty slow growing. And so, so on sort of like on one hand, it's reasonable to think that, hey, after you get past 75, the average life expectancy of a male is like what, 84? And so what's the point of checking a PSA, which is the test that kind of would indicate you might have a cancer? What's the point of checking it if you'll die quicker than the cancer will kill you? So
But that
on the other
test is
hand,
normally done on any, like, you draw blood and you can test for that,
oh, it's
among
very
other things.
easy, very
Yeah,
easy
it's
test
easy
to
to do.
do.
So,
Uh,
and he's the president, so he's had plenty of panels done.
right. I mean,
throughout.
the question is, what? So as I've been playing this out in my head, I'm like, okay, what's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? Best case scenario, I think, would be that he knew he had cancer and he chose not to treat it. And that was a conscious choice, and which is a totally legitimate choice because the treatment for prostate cancer is very difficult. Essentially, um, you need to take emotionally you have basically the emotions of a woman. You tend to be a bit more weepy and things like that because you have to take it just destroys your testosterone, right? So it's reasonable thinking I would probably do the same thing. If I were 75, 76, and I got diagnosed with prostate cancer, I probably wouldn't treat it. And so I think that's kind of the best case scenario. Um, However, if that was the case, I do think that in whatever president, you ought to be able to be honest with the public and be like, oh, by the way, your commander in chief, since we live in a democratic republic, has cancer. I think that's something that we should know. Um, on the very dark side of things, worst case scenario would be um, the people around him knew he had cancer and chose to that whip that horse for another 4 miles just because that's what needed to happen, and didn't offer him treatment because they knew it would obviously you can't hide that when your hair's falling out and all that. So
Yeah, mule. Yeah, mule.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so I feel like those are like the best and worst case scenarios in my mind. But it does seem like the I don't know. It's difficult to see how there isn't some kind of intentional cover up to both with the cancer and then with the dementia kind of thing.
Well,
I
you want
think
to go
it's
first?
probably
Or me?
I think it's probably both right. You're right on both accounts. I think it's
Oh.
they hid it from the American public. He knew about it and decided not to treat it. And his cabinets, his party, all his supporters were whipping that horse. And maybe he made the decision to not treat it.
Yeah.
Just like you said, it's a difficult process. I'm at a certain age, but the fact that he probably had it and he went into another presidency and campaigned to be the next president is very alarming. And that, because then again, it's one of those things of, well, who is his running mate? And then his running mate at the time, would we want that person to be president at any point in
Sure,
time?
right.
That's not who we're voting into office. So yeah, it's alarming on a lot of accounts, but that's my opinion on it. And go ahead, Chet.
Okay. So here's what I'm
Okay.
thinking. We got this human being who has prostate cancer. And the first thing we're thinking is, let's not talk about how maybe we hope it gets better. We're just talking about what a shitbag he
He's
is.
a goner.
entire
No, he's a
time.
goner. He's a goner. I mean, he's lived a good life, been president. Like he's good. He's good.
Yeah, no, his legacy matters nothing to him. We can tell he doesn't give a shit. So the first point though is that I do agree with you 100%. It pains me to agree, but I'm watching and I was like, we saw that debate. We all saw that shit, right? He shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been there. And so something did go horribly, horribly wrong. And it's not his fault, but like people around him were like, why we can't have Trump again? And you guys should ask yourselves both the question, why are people so afraid of Trump that they're willing to let this guy get so far and cover up for him because he was not okay. So that's kind of my point around it. Like the cancer part, I don't think is a part of it. I think he probably found out Wednesday, told us Friday.
I think he found out Wednesday like 3 years ago. I'm not gonna lie. Like, but you're right. You're right. We should be starting the conversation with I hope he's okay. I hope his family's okay with this. I hope they're supporting him in the treatment. But it's alarming to think again that this guy probably at his age specifically, and Tim might be able to attest to this medically, but at his age, he probably had to have something injected to keep him healthy, right?
How old is
to
he
keep him
exactly?
healthy, to keep him healthy, or to give him energy. And then go ahead, Wally. I apologize. It is your turn to talk.
Like this entire conversation is rife with speculation. We have no fucking clue about what.
Most of our conversations are based on speculation. Come on.
I dated a girl prior to my current wife who a couple of years ago went into the hospital. This was long after we had broken up. Went into the hospital.
Does she have prostate cancer?
Wasn't feeling well.
What does it have to do with this conversation?
Let the man talk, Nate.
Wasn't feeling well on a Monday. Found out on Tuesday her body was filled with cancer. She died on a Friday. Shit happens. It's a very real scenario. This is the real world. We have literally zero idea what went into this. Is there not a scenario where cancer could have metastasized at a much faster rate than is typical? I'm not a medical professional, but I guarantee you can find cases where the answer to that is yes. Right. So again, we're speculating here at a very base level that we know nothing about. And I think it's a diversion tactic because I think there's far more. We're now talking about a president who's gone past instead of focusing on things that are happening currently today. So to me, it's like, all right, did they cover it up? Maybe, but like everybody covers up everything. What do we know about? All we know about Donald Trump is that he marches out. He says, "Hey, listen, he says I had a physical today. I'm the healthiest. My doctor says I'm the healthiest 80-year-old he's ever seen, or whatever the hell he said that he says every fucking year." And then we like gobble it up like fucking oatmeal and say, "All right, on to the next thing," because he told us it's true. Like this is the level we're dealing with here. So does he have cancer? Yeah, but what else do we know? Nothing. So I guess we can speculate on it, sure. Or we can talk about the spending bill they just went through the House that's going to increase our national debt by $2.3 trillion. Like maybe that's something else we should talk about. Or maybe we should talk about the fact that he's decided which federal rulings he's going to follow or not follow. He's going to decide he's not going to follow a ruling by the Supreme Court based on I don't want to. Like these are legitimate concerns that we should be addressing. The concern about what Biden's cabinet may or may not have known about a cancer that we know nothing about.
Well, I don't think that's true. We know a lot about prostate cancer. We know it's very slow growing.
We don't know anything about his specific cancer.
Yeah, but that's like saying
it's a diversion tactic, Tim. It's a diversion tactic.
Are there not scenarios where where prostate cancer can go undetected for much longer. Is this crazy? Is this outside the realm of possibility?
Wally, when was the last time you had a blood panel done? Just out of curiosity.
October.
Okay, so and you're a healthy 45-year-old man.
And sexy, and very sexy.
I go to a hormone therapy clinic and get a full panel every 6 months. I know that at 70 years old, I should probably do the same, even because I'm probably going to need something injected into my body to keep me healthy and vibrant, hopefully. So I'll probably have a doctor that's monitoring that and doing a blood panel like every 6 months, hopefully. And then every 6 months, there are markers in your blood panel that it's a huge gauntlet, right? Like just recently, my doctor said, "Hey, you have high creatinine levels. I want to refer you to a kidney specialist." But that's the only thing, again. But this is the president of the United States we're talking about too. So I know that.
I don't think it's speculation in very many important ways. Medically, that's how we do medicine. Is you know the trajectory of something like prostate cancer, which is slow growing, as opposed to testicular cancer, for example, which is very aggressive. And so it's based off of very long-term studies. It's very sound understanding of prostate cancer is the most common cancer in men. So we know a great deal about it, and so the important thing in my view is what it points to, and really that's two things, and that is the trust in the media, and secondly, it is the responsibility of the president to his people that elect him. And so I don't think I personally don't agree with the idea that a president's his health information is just as protected as everybody else's, because he is our representative, and we need to know whether it's Biden or Trump or whoever's next. We need to know we have we are responsible to elect a responsible leader, and so we need to know all the information. And so I think that's another reason why it's important. He doesn't just work for himself. He's not an individual. He's an extension of the population of America. And so I think it's a very important,
of all of us, basically.
Yeah, I think it's a very important question.
So you think it's a diversion tactic, Wally, to keep us?
I just don't think I don't think it matters. And I don't think that
So it doesn't. You don't think that if it was hidden from us or kept in his tight circle prior to him being elected or going through the presidential election this past term, you don't think that's important information that the public should know about before I elect this individual into
I don't think
office?
we have enough. I don't think we have enough knowledge to say that's what happened.
No, we're not. Again, we're speculating that happened, but we're asking the question: if that in fact did happen, is that an appropriate thing for those that elect him into office to not have that information?
And it's a very, very reasonable question to ask. If someone has metastatic prostate cancer, they likely would have noticed it about a decade prior when was he vice president at that point? Of course he's getting annual physicals at that point. And so it's a very reasonable question to ask based on what we know. Like, why wasn't this information available? And it practically hits the polls when it comes to the trust in the party that you are a part of. And in this case, it happens to be the Democratic Party, but that could certainly be the Republican Party if they were doing something like this. So what does that mean for transparency and trust in the party platform? And if you're voting Democrat and the leaders of your Democratic Party are obfuscating things, then I think that really matters.
Right. And I guess my point is, if you don't by now know the leaders of both parties obfuscate freely many, many things, then you haven't been paying attention. If you think that either party has been
Yeah.
transparent
Welcome to the American
about
public.
this is my point about their geriatric candidates they both trotted out here, then let me tell you, I got a bridge I want to sell you. It's a hell of a deal.
Hey,
We can get really rich.
there was
quick.
only one
Like-
geriatric candidate, and it wasn't the one I voted for.
There were two geriatric candidates.
Yeah, that's still true.
All we had were geriatric candidates. Our president is a geriatric man. Like this.
One
Yes.
might act, and the other actually is. But anyway, by the way, Caitlin Clark is 6 feet tall.
Is she really? Wow.
Yeah,
That's taller. That's
she only
taller than I
scored
thought.
11 points tonight.
Ooh. Is that the lowest of the season?
Probably. She's been doing very well. I don't know if you.
I read somewhere that a season and a half into her career, she's already tied for first with all-time triple doubles, or like one off the all-time WNBA record for triple doubles.
She's doing pretty well. Did you guys see the comment and the backlash that RG3 his comments about the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese
The
situation?
backlash was
When
really
the
more
fans-
Ryan. It was
fans
Ryan
kickbacks?
Clark's. It was Ryan Clark's response to it. Was more of the controversy in my eyes.
Well, I agree with both. I thought that what RG3 said was very articulate and like well thought out, and I
Mhm.
think that there's some truth to it. Like, basically, I don't know if you guys saw it, but he basically said, essentially, it's hate and jealousy is what's going on with Angel Reese and her feelings towards Caitlin Clark. It's not.
Oh
They probably. Go ahead.
no, I did not know that's what's going on. So go ahead.
Yeah, he said if you dislike someone, essentially his comment was, if you dislike someone that's different, but her actions throughout, and he cited a bunch of different things that happened last year, things that happened in the championship game in college. He cited Caitlin or Angel Reese's actions towards Caitlin Clark throughout their interactions in the basketball world specifically. And he said that's not hate or dislike. That is jealousy and disdain, essentially, for that individual. And again, I don't disagree, because it actually brought a thought into my head about, she won't answer questions in press conferences. She won't answer questions about Caitlin Clark that are brought to her. And then again, when her teammates foul her flagrantly, she's clapping. And again, Caitlin Clark, yes, absolutely has retaliated. She's not innocent, and she's not innocent in provoking, right? But
What has she done?
Wally?
What has she done? You're not talking that foul that she just had against her. That's a basketball play. That happens every single game, multiple times a game.
I can't speak to
what has she done?
Speak to what she says on the court to the individual. I mean, I'm assuming that there's something other than physical altercations that happen that
I've seen nothing
has brought about reactions and interactions.
But you just said that you think that Caitlin Clark.
Wally, I'm
is
purely speculating, which is what we do on here.
Well, and I guess that again, I've seen nothing that would say that she's done anything other than play basketball at a high level.
I don't think the two parties. I don't think of the two parties, one is purely innocent. Like Caitlin Clark, other than being a good basketball player, I'm sure she has an attitude towards the individual and has said something at some point in time, which has brought about some of this.
If that's the case, nobody's said it. Nobody's brought it up. It's never come to light. Nobody's accused her of this.
Well, nobody's called her an angel either.
Well, I mean, the absence of negative behavior doesn't like what you're saying. You think that she's plays a part in this feud or lack of a feud. I'm saying that she is a generational talent that people are trying to attach themselves to, and I think the narrative of one versus the other. Angel Reese has really made a really good career for herself by making herself Caitlin Clark's adversary. Caitlin Clark doesn't need Angel Reese. Angel Reese needs Caitlin Clark. We don't know Angel Reese's name absent Caitlin Clark. Like you and I aren't talking about Angel Reese today if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark, right?
I would say so, yes. But again, like I think part of the issue is the WNBA specifically, and the public opinion, what have you, social media embracing Caitlin Clark, when I think it should have been much like when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird came into the NBA. It was a seamless transition. The two had a rivalry in college, and the NBA embraced that. The WNBA did not. They elevated one person on a platform, didn't do it publicly to where they're saying that this is the golden child, but everybody in social media did. And again, when I say what could the WNBA have done, they could have, again, case in point was headline the two of them going head to head for the first week of the
Wow.
season.
I see it vastly different. I think the WNBA has an opportunity in Caitlin Clark to capitalize on their brand, the likes of which they've never had before. And they've allowed their other players to belittle her, to put her down. They didn't put her on the Olympic team. They have an opportunity. This is a generation. This is like Jordan. Like latch onto that star. And there is no, this is not Magic in Bird. Caitlin Clark is a far superior basketball player to Angel Reese. They may have played against each other in college, but they're not in the same stratosphere. The WNBA continues to downplay Caitlin Clark as a player. Like, again, I feel like she is going to be. This is tomfoolery to even be talking about the two of them in the same sense. Angel Reese is good. She's Andre Drummond. She rebounds really well. She'll get 15 rebounds a game. Caitlin Clark is going to average a triple-double this season. They're not the same player, and they shouldn't be mentioned in the same sentence. The WNBA has tried too hard to tie the two of them together unfairly, when really it's one star.
I think if we did have to comp Angel Reese, it'd be more like a Draymond Green.
Fair. I'll give you. And I don't think that's
pretty well. Who's done pretty well. He's done pretty well in the NBA. But we also don't forget, if Caitlin Clark is the golden child, like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was pretty irrelevant his first couple of years in the NBA. He had an amazing first.
So she's a bigger
run.
Star. You're right.
He had she might be, but again, I think there were great players in the WNBA prior to that. The WNBA had an issue with marketing and getting their superstars out there and getting people to view it. Caitlin Clark brought awareness to that. I'm not going to lie. I agree with that. And again, the whole the whole feud between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, I do feel like I agree with what RG3 said. I think Angel Reese is jealous of Caitlin Clark because they both came in at the same time. Angel Reese's team beat Caitlin Clark in the NCAA finals. And anyway, I think there's a lot of jealousy there, but I do agree they're not equal as far as the type of players, but the type of notoriety and that rivalry existed prior to coming in, and it wasn't embraced.
I think the real question is there racism at play here? Is this because Caitlin Clark is white? Like, is she not being given
does she think it's
the
white
fact that she wasn't
also?
on the Olympic team is an incredible slight.
I've already said that I thought both of them should be for the consideration of, again, the team that they put in the Olympics was going to win gold even if they played the bench. So
right.
Why not? Well, I'm sorry, I don't want to take that opportunity away from somebody to win a gold medal, but let's say there's somebody on the bench that has already won a gold medal. Let's let somebody else get on that bench and get some experience and get face to the WNBA specifically, not the Olympic team, the WNBA. Because again, I think a lot of people are paying attention to the WNBA because of the dominance of the Olympic squad, and all of those players play in the WNBA. And Caitlin Clark will be one at some point. And I think we should actually talk about the Olympic flag football team, but
Yeah.
at some point we should. It's not till 2028, but
I'm just surprised that Caitlin Clark is white.
are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about women's basketball, and in fact, to be honest with you, Caitlin Clark alerted me to the fact that it was a thing that's still going on.
Exactly my point. This is what I'm saying. It wasn't Angel Reese that alerted you to it, was it? Had you ever?
I know the name of one WNBA player.
I rest my
And,
case.
Yeah,
How
she
did you
seems like a
hear
really
about
nice
that?
gal.
How did you hear about her? Because she's white?
Well, no, I heard about her because she was just kicking ass, and then I saw, oh, she's white. Which, let's be honest, the majority of NBA players and NFL players are black.
Things are changing. The number one pick in the draft in the NBA this year will be Cooper
Gonna
Flag,
be
a
what?
white kid from
Super
Maine,
flag.
who
From
is
where?
he's from Maine.
From
He's,
Maine.
he's,
What?
I swear to God, he's got a twin brother Ace. He is going to be, by all accounts, he's a generational type talent. One of the best players to come out since LeBron. Certainly the
Wow.
most fanfare since LeBron.
What does he play?
He's like a 6'10",
He's a
6'9",
wing.
6'10" guard with a handle. Like he's one of those in between. Like he's a solid defensive player. He's getting all
You can
around
play
game.
1 through 4. 1 through 4 easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
He went to Duke last year.
What's his name again?
Cooper Flag.
Cooper Flag. Yeah.
Interesting.
He's gonna be down here in Dallas. The Dallas
Yeah,
Mavericks have the number one pick.
Makes me want to throw up.
Yeah,
Makes
so
me want to throw up.
there's nothing wrong with the NBA draft, right? That makes sense.
Yeah, right. Right.
Hey, did you guys watch that Netflix documentary on the Sox?
We were just
No, we were
talking about
talking about it.
I did.
we're going to watch it and talk about it next episode.
Yep, I watched the whole thing.
I watched it and I just binged it. It was great.
It's so good.
I loved it.
We're gonna digest it one episode at a time.
Okay.
So if you want to participate, we'll start that next week actually. And
Oh,
then
no,
after that,
hey,
it's
my
Celtic City.
suggestion was it's 3 episodes of amazingness. We could digest all of it in one episode.
Yeah.
I need to get going soon, but I kind of want to ask you guys a question that I'm curious about your perspective on.
Well, Wally, I just want to say I might speculate on an answer. So
I know you will. This is why I'm asking. I want to know your first reaction, like your initial kind of reaction to this jet that's being gifted to Trump from Qatar, and what your thoughts are on it.
I haven't even heard anything about it. If somebody gives me something,
I'll go first.
Use the shit out of it.
Oh, Tim
go
will go.
first.
Let's go.
Ready?
Yeah,
That's my first thought.
it's not good, right?
I think it's stupid.
It's stupid.
Also,
Yeah.
So you don't believe in receiving gifts?
I think if you put it before Congress, if Congress says it's okay, we should do it. But accepting it's bad. So I was thinking about this today. Like, what grade would I give Trump as a president so far? And it's just like different classes. You get an A in gym, you get a B in this.
Sure.
It's difficult. You got like foreign policy, you've got like the border, you've got different things.
Yeah.
But if I were just to give him a grade on optics, it would not be very good. It'd probably be a C plus.
Yeah. Take
It
a plane
doesn't look
from
good,
Middle
but
Eastern
also
country.
culturally though, when somebody from an Arabic country gives you a gift,
Not a country that harbors terrorists.
that's
I don't disagree, but
And we're not talking about
also-
a nice plaque. We're talking about a $600 million Air Force One.
Come
jet.
on, Wally. It's only 400 million.
But also tonight, as we speak, what's happening right now is Trump is hosting a bunch of people who bought his personal meme coin.
That's the same kind of optics I'm talking about. And then
Yes.
and
well,
then
I was supposed to be at that. I was supposed to be at that shit.
you know me, I voted for Trump. I'm a big fan of some of the stuff that he's done, but the optics are not good, Bob. And I, not that we can get into this whole tariff thing. I'm hopeful that it might be turning around. Like Scott Besson's saying some good stuff, but The optics are not good.
Well,
The optics, by the way,
gift, the gift.
behind you, Tim, your tree. I want to hug that tree. I like
You
it.
want to hug this tree?
I do.
So
No.
did he accept the gift? He was offered the gift. Did he
Yes,
accept
he
it?
accepted
Yes.
the gift.
That's a good
Yeah.
question. I'm not sure if he
No,
actually
No, I
accepted
think
it.
we're speculating. I think we're speculating
No.
on him.
On
It's a
the
done deal.
plane,
It's a done
he
deal. It's a
definitely
done deal.
accepted that stuff. It's on its way here right now.
It's a done deal.
And by the way, Nate, I am 100% positive that this gift
Oh, my muscles.
is not bugged. There is no bug on that plane. It's just like straight honesty and truth.
Wait, what country gifted him a
Qatar.
$600 million?
Qatar. You know,
And
one. Like,
Telling you, there's no bugs on it.
not only, I
It's
mean,
just pure.
it's like
She's out of
we can't just say that they harbor terrorists, because there's not much worse, but there are other things that happen within that country that are just as bad. So, but we could say that about a lot of the countries that we're allied with. I mean,
Yeah, I think Trump's he's
but
a
not all
big
of them are
grandstander.
gifting. Go ahead, sorry, Tim.
He's a big grandstander. He's a big glad-hander, and I think from the most gracious take I could give this is that he's just very magnanimous, and he wants to glad hand everybody. And yeah, maybe we're not the best of friends, but hey, this is a show of good faith. But it's like, yeah, that's not how the Middle East works. That you need to. It's they speak in terms of power, and this isn't like, hey, we'll do this for you, and we'll trust that in the future you're going to sort of do a quid pro quo. No. That is not how this works. Yeah. So I think Trump's biggest weakness is flattery.
Yep.
And you flatter him, and you've got his ear. And I mean, I'm a little concerned. I don't think the optics are very good. So that's my take on it.
I appreciate your honest perspective. I agree. I agree with what you said.
Agree with that too. Tim, you saw the new American Pope, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
Like,
First one.
oh my God.
Where's he
Do
from?
you think not
Chicago.
not tonight because but I would love to hear your perspective on. There's a lot of talk about like let's pick an American specifically because there's good and evil and Trump is evil.
I didn't hear like any talk before they did it. Like, was this?
Yeah,
This wasn't.
came out of
This
nowhere.
wasn't widely speculated, was it?
He wasn't. He was kind of out of left field.
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm saying that there's a lot of talk about it, and I would love to have that conversation as a group.
Yeah, that would be a good conversation.
I enjoy that.
I mean, for a very long time, people of my perspective, the Protestants, largely in the 16th, 1700s, even into the 1800s, saw the Pope as the Antichrist. It like legitimately the Antichrist. So,
Right.
Are you speculating, Tim, or
No,
were you
that's-
alive back then, or
that's documented.
That's history.
Documented
Oh, okay.
history.
Absolute truth.
Want to make sure.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
I don't agree with that, but necessarily, I think certain popes could be a form of Antichrist, but that's another topic about what that actually means. But I think it's interesting. The Catholic Church and the ex cathedra, the whatever comes out of the church is sort of the new standard, and but how does that work when you have a pope that speaks clearly against what is like traditional biblical doctrine, and like it just brings in a lot of it conflicts the two.
Sure
So
does. It's like having a president that decides to change all the rules at one time, and you have no idea what the fuck to do with that.
well, there are some similarities there, but it's even worse
There are.
because you have biblical doctrine which doesn't change, and then you have a pope who is presuming to represent things that are different from that. And so, whereas politics can change, and constitutions can drift, and et cetera.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe, and I know this. This pope's a little more conservative than our last pope, right? I mean, our last
Yes.
pope was far more liberal in regards to
Yes.
traditional church doctrines.
Yeah. As far as we know, we don't.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You won't really know. The time will tell.
How long was the last pope? The actual pope?
You know, I don't think for that long. Maybe a decade. They tend, like we pick our presidents, they tend to pick them old. So this one's like a spring chicken. He's like 65. We should be so lucky to have a president that's that young.
Yeah, that would be nice. We wouldn't have to worry about
Right?
blood panels and
Yeah.
HIPAA and letting
So you're
everybody
saying we
know.
should have elected Kamala?
We had Obama. We had Obama. I'm just saying.
Vance and Kamala,
You guys know Obama?
2028. Yeah.
So essentially, a pope is voted in and will stay in as the papal figure for the
Until
rest
he
of
dies.
their life.
So he's yeah. So it's a whole
Supreme
thing.
Court.
It's actually very
The Supreme
interesting.
Court.
Well, it's a very good beginning, but a sad ending. Why did they let that happen?
Well,
Yeah.
2 popes ago retired, but that's very rare.
Actually, you're right, Molly. Like when they said there was one that I remember saying, like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done.
And you want to talk speculation. Nate's word of the day: speculation. There was speculation. Even that was tied to some of the sex abuse scandals that rocked the Catholic Church and his handling or mishandling of some of that. Whether it's true or not, it's tough to say. But that was pretty much unprecedented. Well, had only one other pope ever stepped down, and I don't believe it was very common
In our lifetime. Yeah.
Interesting. I like
Yeah.
speculation.
In our
That's what we
lifetime?
do. That's what we do on here, Wally. We speculate. We should.
I heard that.
Speculate.
I've heard that message. I've heard that message loud and clear.
I mean, because you accuse it was your accusatory tone of like you're speculating. Like, yeah, I mean, that's what we should be doing. We're thinking like a human being, like a normal, average human being. We should
Yeah, that's
speculate.
true.
I maintain we just don't know enough. You don't know.
I just like the word too. I like the words.
It is a good word.
They are fun. They're fun.
Continue to use it. I'll continue to use it. There's been several where I just continue to play on that word that you've used specifically, actually. Same with fanboy. Like I've used that, but I mean, I use it
You're
in
posting
many
it for the
many-
world to see.
I use it in I use
You
it in a
have,
lot of terms.
like,
I use
numerous
it.
times.
I use it in a derogatory way. I use it in an affectionate way. Like, I mean, it's the gauntlet. Like
It doesn't feel
far
affectionate.
left, far right.
I've never one time felt the affectionate way. I'd love some examples of that.
You kind of spit it at us.
I'll find you some. But mostly it's when Wally gets upset that I use the term. It's like, no, it's a good term, Wally. It is. Like you guys are
Not when you're
passionate
pointing. Not when you're
fans.
pointing your fingers and going, "You fanboys!" Like it doesn't come across. It's not perceived as a
Yeah.
compliment.
And also, Nate,
The
I
body
remember
language.
back in 2000, it must be 2005 or so. You texted us as a group and you said Romo is no Brady.
You remember that?
I remember that so well because
I mean,
Drew
that's
Bledsoe
true.
was
No
there.
one. I mean, I was right. I was speculating
You're
at
right.
the time.
You
I was
weren't wrong.
speculating at the time, but I was right.
Drew Bledsoe was playing for Dallas. Bill Parcells took him out. Romo goes in, and then he fumbles the snap for a field goal and tries to be a hero. And I remember Nate saying, "Romo's no Brady." Tell me how are you not a fanboy in that moment?
Oh, I was absolutely. Romo shouldn't have been holding the snap. Like that's just like the starting quarterback of America's team of what everyone says is America's team. You shouldn't be holding a snap for a kicker. Like, come on now. That's not your job. Anyway,
Just saying, if you're going to call us fanboys, you have to at least admit you were one.
He is one.
Oh,
don't let him fool you.
I
He is
am.
one.
I am. I've explained this before. I'm the fanboy in a sense, in the good way that I use it, like the affectionate way. I love New England sports, but I will also criticize them when I feel like they're not playing up to par or doing the things that we expect them to do. But you guys, again, especially the fanboy part where it's derogatory, is where no one will ever be greater than Tom Brady. No one will
Truth.
ever come close.
Truth.
I mean, that's speculatory.
Okay, I get it. So you're the good fan. We're bad fans. I get it.
No,
I didn't
no, we're all-
understand. You clarified
no.
it for me. Chet and I are bad fans. You're the good fan. Okay.
That's
Thank
not true. You guys are just passionate to a point where sometimes it's negative. That's all.
I mean,
And it's only negative again when we talk about the history of football. Like, no one will ever be better than Bill Belichick. No one will ever be better than the Patriots. Like, no one will. We should draft long snappers every year until we get Joe Cordona, who was not drafted, by the way.
Why can't we listen, it's not so far in the past. Why can't we continue to hold them as the ideal? I enjoyed their
No, they're the
20-year run of
standard.
dominance.
They're the
Why
standard for
can't
us.
we celebrate that for a little bit and guard its legacy? Is that not our job to a certain extent?
Well, at some point I want our job to be to talk about sports and hold everyone in the same sentence. So I should be able to have a conversation and not be biased one way or the other than fandom, but not be biased to the point where I can't even have a conversation about who the greatest of all time is because it's only Michael Jordan.
You're mischaracterizing our words. All we've said, and we maintain
I think I'm speculating, Wally,
is that he is currently the greatest of all time. And any conversation to the contrary is untrue and therefore unfair. Currently, now I'm willing to. If Patrick Mahomes wins 5 more championships, all right, let's have a conversation.
Then we can fucking talk.
Until that happens, Tom Brady's the greatest. And people attempting to say, well, who's better is an insult because he's clearly the best.
It's ridiculous.
At some point we're gonna have the conversation about Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, but he was in his own era. His era's done. And the game has changed. He did see both eras, as in what we would deem now as like the quarterback era, because rules have been changed to protect the quarterback, to protect the quarterback and the receivers. So it's an offensive game. That only happened recently in Tom Brady's era, right? So again, we should be able to have a conversation about in this era currently. If Patrick Mahomes continues on his trajectory, he's gonna be the greatest of all time. But again, that's purely speculating. But we should be able to have that conversation, and it shouldn't be if he wins 5 more, because again, he doesn't need to win that much. What if he surpasses every one of Tom Brady's passing records or every one of his records except for Super Bowls?
We've had this conversation. I'm willing to engage in it, but I'm going to say when you're wrong. Like I can still say that, okay, could he potentially be the greatest of all time? Yes. He is not currently, and it's not.
Well, then neither one of us are right or wrong. We're just having a conversation, and that's the point. And that's why I say you're a fanboy in a derogatory term, because you're saying that it can't be right, and it will never happen.
I'm saying it's not. I've never said it will never happen. I hope it doesn't. I'm saying it is not currently happening. It has not.
That's also
happened.
where you're a fanboy too, is because you hope. Because you want it all.
Wait! Hold on.
Yes,
hold on.
I
I thought you were one of us.
And that's not true. I hope Drake may ends up being better than Brady. I'd be okay with that.
Oh, I hope so too. But I hope we have him for 20 years, and we can have that conversation in 20 years. When
I need to go to bed.
We're probably all at the same retirement.
I love you, brother.
5 o'clock comes early.
Good night, my friend. I sat down for the first time in this whole podcast just now.
Just now?
Yep.
Good for you.
Hey,
I haven't sat down yet. Tim,
were you done with talking about the Tim Tebow thing and the spiritual warfare? I know that's one thing you were asking about, so we're thinking about. So
I mean, I was in a sense where we didn't even talk about the spiritual warfare part.
Well, that's what you were asking me about. So I was,
what'd you think about his he didn't really even go into it, but I like Sean Ryan's.
Yeah, it's a interesting. Um, well, I think it's true, right? But then even within, like, when you get into the intramural conversation about what does that really look like? So first of all, it's like if from inside Christianity, you kind of it's a conversation that happens. Um, if you're not inside that realm, then sometimes it can sound kind of weird because I mean it's kind of like if someone who never really read Tolkien was like, hey, so what's the deal with like Frodo and Sauron? And like, well, the first thing I need to do is build a world in which I can put the answer to that question. And so um and so the whole spiritual warfare thing is like, yeah, you have invisible realities and then you have physical realities. And to what extent do these good guys and bad guys who are invisible interact with us? And you have people on one side who are like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty heavy. I mean, there's a demon behind every tree, and they're pouring poison into our ears, and we're neutral beings. And we've got, like the Tom and Jerry cartoon, you've got the devil on one side and the angel on the other, and
Yeah.
it's a battle, and humans are neutral and they're pulled one way or the other. And then you have, which is the more orthodox position, which is humans are born evil. We're born sinful. We're born dead, spiritually dead. And then we in some ways, we don't need any help to be wicked and to do things like child pornography and all these horrible things. And however, there is that very clear influence, and we see it in the Bible. It's there's demons and they do this or that thing. There's angels, but intramurally, there's that debate between how extensive that interaction is with the invisible world. So I'm kind of more on the Orthodox side, where uh, well, I'm clearly on the Orthodox side, where humans are born dead. We are death spreaders. Everything we do is just spreading death in one form or another. And then whether we're assisted is the right word, or encouraged, or stoked to engage and invent new ways of doing evil. Um, I'm not really sure the extent to which that happens, but yeah, there's certainly a reality there, and there are spiritual forces of good and evil, and they have goals, and they have there is a battle. There's a kingdom battle, but not one where it's like it's not even. It's not like there's God and there's Satan and they're both equally strong and they're duking it out. Satan is a created being and he's at the beck and call of God. He's on a leash, that kind of thing. So that's kind of my 3 minute take on what they were talking about.
Yeah. Do you think I also think of when I hear them talk about spiritual warfare also, I one thing that comes to mind is uh, I'll use the Jehovah Witness as an example. Like it seems like they're part of their niche as far as trying to convert people is like the end is coming. The end is near. The end is coming.
Every fucking
Like
day.
do you agree or disagree that that is also a form of spiritual warfare to like not turn the tide, but like to bring more followers over, but use weaponizing that terminology and weaponizing an ideology to get people to to
Um, I
be
don't I don't
faithful.
I don't know that I would necessarily call that a spiritual warfare in the terms of um, bringing about the end. Uh, there's a couple of questions in there. One is, what does the end mean? Of course, it's baked into the American psyche that the end is near. We are apocalyptic thinkers. One thing I have on my drafts and in an email draft, I have a list of failed like end times predictions, like real predictions people have made. And then parallel to that, I have a list of failed climate change predictions. and they're both equally apocalyptic, right?
Yeah.
But if you step back and you look, American history is eschatological, which is the fancy word for saying
Yep.
end times.
Yep.
And one of the things I'm writing a book on wine in communion, and the chapter I'm working on now is specifically eschatology through American history, and I'm blown away by how dug into everything that we do is this idea in some capacity of utopia, end times, heaven on earth, that kind of thing. Right from the inception of America, you had the Puritans, America is a city on the hill. This is where God's going to start the kingdom, and we still have that. It all the way to American Zionist positions of, we need to protect Israel at all costs, um, because that's how God's going to bring about the end times. We are. The line that I have is. American history without eschatology is a novel without a plot. It's so baked into what we do. So my personal belief is the end will not come about catastrophically like people think, but that the world will be Christianized over the next thousands and thousands of years. But that's a minority position for certain. Now, when it comes to like Jehovah's Witnesses and all that, yeah, they really do believe that the end is near, and they're trying to basically get all the people out of the water into the lifeboat, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like that. I don't know if it's spiritual warfare, but it's propaganda, right? Like propaganda as far as bringing people to the good side. Like I don't know how else to describe it, but
Yeah,
felt
I mean,
like that.
I don't think that's a bad word. Propaganda implies an intentional misleading, and I don't
Right, yeah,
think
you
I
might be
think they
right,
actually
yeah.
do believe that, though I do think they're misled. But for sure, it's like, how many times can you have a failed prophecy before people stop believing, right?
Believing or thinking you're full of
Right, right,
stuff, and then
right.
or that initially converts them. That not initially, but that eventually converts them to another religion that is just gospel, so to speak, and not preaching end of times.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways you could go from there.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah. What do you got, Chet?
I'll just say this. I think that over time, and this is not Tim's fault. I think the
how are you going to end this sentence? I'm so curious.
no. I mean, the end of days has been
Oh,
used, I think, as a way of emotional abuse and social control. But after hearing from Tim over the last year and what you really believe in, like I'm down with that. But what I've seen over time is that humans are fallible and they have a faith, let's say.
Yeah.
And they take that faith and rather than actually see the actual true nature of that faith or the integrity of that faith, they make it about themselves instead. And that's where I think it goes wrong. Right? It's not about the faith or the message. It's like when they make it about themselves instead and it kind of corrupts that faith, that's where it goes wrong. And that's sort of my final thought on that.
I
okay.
think you're speculating.
I might be,
Yeah.
but I'm okay with it. I'm okay
Well,
with speculating.
well, faith is only as good as the object of it. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So if your object of faith is lame, then you will be filled with lameness.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Also, last thing, I am so grateful we do this as much as we can because it actually brings me joy. It's something I look forward to. It's hanging out with you guys. It's amazing.
Great. Yeah, me too. I'm glad I could join tonight. It's good seeing you guys. I'm really I would love, now that we've kind of reconnected in this way,
Yeah,
I would love to come out to New Hampshire and see you guys. Man,
let's
that'd be so
go.
great.
Let's go.
That'd be
I would love
awesome.
that too.
I don't know when that'll happen, but maybe there'll be this kind of special thing when Nate's up there. I don't know, Nate, do you have plans to go up to New Hampshire anytime?
I'm actually going up there August, end of July, August. But
What?
Yeah.
I'll be in Maine. Yeah, I go up to I go to Sunday River to do the Tough Mountain race. That's usually at the end of July. I used to go up there for 4th of July and then spend 4th of July with my sister and my
No,
family.
actually, Tim, true story. My wife and I have hung out with Nate 4th of July numerous times.
Yeah,
And by numerous, I mean, I think at least two.
it was 2, yeah. I think one year it was you, and then the next year you brought your wife
Yeah.
and
Yep.
child.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, man, that would be so fun. I would love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to figure something out because so long story short, Tim, my sister and my sister usually gets a house that houses most of her in-laws, her kids, their kids, and me. And I pay for one of the beds, but I would be fine if we wanted to arrange a way where we get our own house and we're all there
Yeah.
at the same time, or periodically through the week if you come in for 2 days and
Yeah.
you spend 2 days on the beach and then you go about to see friends and family in the area. But yeah,
I would
we
love
go
that.
to
Yeah, I would love to come out and either whether bring the whole family or if it would just be
Yeah.
just me. That'd be so fun.
Would
Yeah,
be.
we got to figure something out. I want to get Chad on here as well at some point.
Me
Yeah,
too.
how's that old
Can-
SOB?
Can we
How's he
find that
doing?
guy? I'm trying. I'm
He,
trying.
he's somewhat secluded. He's still very social, but he's secluded from us specifically. Not, I'm sure he's a great guy, and
Yeah.
he came up to visit just as many times as you did, Chet. He's
Yeah.
been up to see me in Maine a couple times. But
Yeah,
yeah,
there was one weekend we were all together. Like me, you, Chad. Like we took a picture. It was fucking awesome. I was like, we need Wally. We need Tim. Let's go. We need Jeff. Let's go.
yeah, I got to figure something out. I should be getting my own house again. That was the what brought everybody there was that I had room available for them.
100%. 100%.
I'll have to
Thank
figure
you for that,
something
by
out.
the way. That was awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, boys, I'm heading
But yeah,
out.
No, we all
All
are,
right.
I think. But
yeah, we are.
Cool. All right,
Yeah.
man. It's good seeing you guys.
Yeah,
Good seeing
good
you
talking
too.
to y'all. Y'all have
See
a
ya.
good night. Appreciate it.
all right, good night, everyone.
Later.
My name. Love you,
Do you have a
man.
dad joke? Do you have a dad joke?
Oh. Okay. What does a bear do in the woods?
What does a bear do in the woods?
Mhm.
I don't know.
Bear the young.
What?
I just made that shit up on the spot right now. I have
Oh.
no idea what I'm saying.
Well, why did the golfer bring 2 pairs of pants?
Something about the 9. It's got to be something, but I can't figure it out.
In case he gets a hole in one. That's a dad joke of the week. I'll let you go, man. Love you.
Dude, I
Appreciate
love
it.
you so much. Good night, my friend.
Take care. Later. Have a
Yep.
good weekend.
You too. Good night.